Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Life According to Nikki. My name is Nikki. I know, big shocker. And I'm just so happy to have you here. Thank you so much for being here as I just experiment and find my groove with this podcast. Last time I established that I'm going to start each episode with a little roundup of everything that I have recently watched or read, just any sort of media consumption. Starting off strong, I have recently gotten into Ink Masters, the tattoo show. I have found it extremely fascinating. I can't draw to save my life. So the fact that not only can these people draw, but they can make an image on skin is kind of unbelievable to me, and I really enjoy it. I hate all of the smack talk, so I skip all of that. To me, it's just obnoxious. Like, no, I'm here for what matters. It's kind of blown my mind how many different styles of tattooing there are. You have Japanese, American traditional, neo-traditional. My Google search on my phone for the past week and a half has just been tattoo terms. Like, what does this mean? It's been really educational. I have watched 4 seasons now, and I do recommend, just as a show that you can just chill and watch, especially if you're an art appreciator like me. I would say it's a solid 7.5 out of 10. It's a good time. There is a lot of language in the later seasons. In the earlier seasons, they do bleep them out, so if you're sensitive to language, just FYI on that. And DJ Tambi, I stan. He is incredible. He's such a good artist, and I do think that he deserved to win as many times as he did. You know, I went on Reddit because I wanted to know what people were saying about the fact that he's won so many times. To all you haters, he deserved every single one of those wins. He is the best. I don't know why we have to pretend like he's not, just to like give other people a fair chance. If you're the best, honestly, I think you deserve all the awards. It's like Simone Biles, you know, like no one's over here going, well, we should, let other people have a chance. They can have a chance when she's gone, but until she decides to leave, how about we just let her be the best because she is the best? And that's how I feel about DJ Tambi on Ink Masters. If he is the best, why don't we just let him claim that title every time? And he's proven it time and time again that he's the best out of everybody. They are so beautiful and they are works of art. That show can be found on Amazon Prime. Maybe it's found other places, I don't know. I watch it on Amazon Prime. Sticking with Amazon Prime, we have Upload, which in my opinion has one of the hottest actors ever. I've had a crush on him for the longest time. Robbie Amell. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes to everything about his look. He's so nice in this show too, so he's everything I could want. I was loving the first and second seasons. They were so fun. It's a very interesting concept. So the first 2 seasons I would probably rate a 7 out of 10. I think the vast majority of people would enjoy this. Where they lost me was on season 3. I'm not above quitting if a show is bad. I have no loyalty if you betray my trust. If you become boring or if you just don't feel well thought out, I'm not gonna stick around to see if you figure it out. Either you have me or you don't. And I'm so sorry to say, but Upload, you don't have me anymore. Normally, if I stop a show before it ends, I'll look up the ending because I need that resolution. I need to know what happens. I hate surprises. But now that I'm thinking about it, I never looked up the ending to Upload, so I actually don't know how it ends. That tells you how much I really didn't care and how boring I thought it was. The fact that I didn't look up the ending. Take that for what you will. Speaking of Robbie Amell, I'm going to go back a couple weeks to when it was Christmas, and he came out with a new movie called Xmas, EXMAS. It's on Freevee, which is accessible on Amazon Prime, but you do have to watch commercials, which I haven't watched commercials in actual years, so it was a little tough for me, but it was worth it. It had Blair Waldorf from Gossip Girl, and then of course my king, Robbie Amell. I loved it. I thought it was such a fresh take on a Christmas rom-com. I'll give you a little plot summary because I really liked it and I really want you to watch it. They had been together for years, were engaged, broke up, but she still loves his family and they still love her. So he isn't going to come home for the holidays because he's working. So the family invites the ex-girlfriend or ex-fiance, Allie, who is, I don't even know her real name. If you've seen Gossip Girl, you know who I'm talking about. Anyways, they invite her over for Christmas, and then of course he ends up coming home to surprise the family and his ex-girlfriend's there. They're basically competing for who the family loves more. I found it to be very enjoyable, and I love that we're getting back in the era of actually having good rom-coms. We had a dry spell there for years, and I'm just so happy to know that we're crawling out. I have watched so many good rom-coms in the past year that it's given me just fresh new hope for all of the trailers that I'm seeing for the future rom-coms. I have genuine excitement because I think that they're going to be good. Sticking on rom-coms, I did rewatch for probably the 10th time Rosalind. This is my favorite rom-com right now. I can't get enough of it. I think it is absolutely hilarious. It is the untold story of Romeo and Juliet. It's about Rosalind, who was actually Romeo's first girlfriend, and he cheated on her with Juliet. Oh my gosh, it is such a good time. I love the actors in it. They're both so fun, but I gotta give props where props are due. My love for this movie has everything to do with the main character, Caitlin Dever, who plays Rosalind. Not only does she act with her face and with her lines, but her body language. I can't shut up about it because it's so good. It's so funny. If you're looking for a good rom-com, this is on Hulu. I can't recommend it enough. For me, on my personal rating, it's a 9 out of 10. I love it. But I think that there are parts that maybe won't speak to everybody. So for the general public, I'm going to give it 8 out of 10, which is still really high in my opinion. I think most women will enjoy this show. And the guy in it, super hot. So, can't go wrong. Okay, it's about to become very obvious that I was in a rom-com mood because I did watch 3 Nicholas Sparks movies. I grew up on Nicholas Sparks. This was my teenage years. I remember when The Choice came out, me and my friends Carolyn and Maddie all read the book and we all went to go see the movie together. We had the best time, and it really is a fond memory for me. But rewatching it this past week, I was reminded that even though I have those great memories and reading the book, it's not my favorite Nicholas Sparks movie, unfortunately. I did enjoy the book a lot more, but, there is a lot of infidelity that now as an adult, I feel like I can't quite see past quite as well as I could when I was a teenager, but it was still good. I did rewatch A Walk to Remember, the OG, Mandy Moore. That song that she sings, it gives me chills just thinking about it. That's how much I love it. It is the bad boy turned good boy story of the ages, and then she has cancer and you're just heartbroken. It has everything that you could want. And then The Notebook, of course. I mean, can you really watch a Nicholas Sparks without wanting to watch The Notebook? I don't know. The Notebook is really what made me love Rachel McAdams. She is one of my all-time favorite actresses. I have seen almost everything that she's ever been in. I am such a big fan of hers, and honestly, her and Ryan Gosling together, they did a beautiful thing. What a creation that was, and they should be proud of it forever. We're gonna just continue on this trend. I also watched for the first time She's All That. I can't believe I've never seen this before. I mean, this is a cult classic rom-com. It was fun. It was funny. I love the whole trope of she's so beautiful if only she just took off her glasses, the old tried and true. It was cute. I can see why it was a cult classic. Was it amazing? No. I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. I also watched The Family Switch on Netflix. I absolutely do not recommend this because the acting just wasn't good enough to convince me that the parents and children had switched bodies. This was not Freaky Friday, and I actually had a really hard time keeping track of who was in whose body, and I just felt like they didn't really go anywhere with the plot that they could have. It just felt like a really missed opportunity. I do think Jennifer Gardner did a great job. I mean, 13 going on 30, she was 13 in that movie. I'm absolutely convinced. I think the adults in that movie did a way better job than the kids did, but then I could not get down with the dog switching with the baby. I could see how a child could think that was funny, or just someone with a different sense of humor than my own, but that kind of humor is not mine. It was weird, and it made me uncomfortable to look at, and so I did have to quit halfway through. And I'm sorry to say, it is going to get a very low rating from me, but if you like just more obvious comedy, then maybe you'd be into it, but I really don't think a lot of people would really like this movie. General public, I'm going to give 5 out of 10. For my personal review, I'm giving a 2 out of 10. Okay, let's switch back to TV shows because I did watch The Golden Bachelor. Oh, you guys. Thank goodness for The Golden Bachelor. Am I right? That's a 9 out of 10. I freaking loved The Golden Bachelor and I highly recommend it. It has brought so much goodness into the world and into Bachelor Nation. I have not been a part of Bachelor Nation for a long time now. I grew up with this because when I was in Young Women, which in my church it's 12 years old until 18 years old. When I was about 16, I was class president and one of my leaders thought it'd be a good idea if she hosted The Bachelor over at her house and, she could invite some of the other leaders and I could come and I could invite some of the girls. And this became one of my most looked forward to activities of my entire week. So anyone who wants to judge my Young Women's leader for letting a 16-year-old watch this show, first off, I say to you, have you even seen it? I feel like you're judging it based off of what you think you know and not what you actually know. And second, anytime that there was anything more than the mild kiss, my Young Women's leaders would sing the Pop'em Circumstance at like full volume. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that incorrectly, but you know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to demonstrate. I'm not. But they would like sing that so loud where we would fast forward. It's not like we had to do that much. It is a pretty low rated show, especially back in the day when it actually used to be about love. It was such a fun time. Some of my best memories growing up and being a teenager was going over once a week to my Young Women's leader's house and hanging with my friends and just talking about that show. It is such a social show. I kept up with that for quite a while. When I came home from my mission, I would host my own. In China, I did it every single week. People would come from all over and we would do Bachelor. And then when I was in the Virgin Islands, anywhere that I've been, I've really kept up on it. But in the most recent years, I had to give up because it was just trash season after trash season, and I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't keep defending the fact that I was just watching it for the social aspect. I mean, I knew it was trash the whole time. Everybody knows that. But I just hate that they keep putting on these like 20-year-olds that just want to be influencers. It's not about love anymore. It's not entertaining to watch. It's so dramatic. It's so catty. I hate pitting women against women, and I'm just not down with it anymore. So I haven't watched it in quite a few years. But The Golden Bachelor, that is completely different. I cried in every episode. It was so beautiful. 45-minute episodes, no drama, women just coming together for a common goal. Oh my gosh, and Gary. He is the sweetest man alive. Am I right? I don't think it gets cuter than Gary. I want a Gary in my life. If we can just narrow down my type, it's Gary from The Golden Bachelor. If I can find him now in my life, I think I'll be set. I love him so much. I loved the season. I also loved watching the wedding. You can bet every dollar you have that I skipped every second of the interviews with all of these wannabe celebrities from the Bachelor Nation. I'm not about that. No, you get zero of my attention because what have you done? You've done nothing. We treat them like they're celebrities. They're not. They're not celebrities. I don't know why they get to pretend like they are. I don't know. It just like really makes me mad for some reason. If I'm going to like a celebrity, you need to have talent. You need to have something that you're doing. Either you're an actress in a movie or you sing or you have some sort of talent that gives you this name recognition. And it just makes me mad that all of the people on this show, the only thing that they've done is just go on a dating show and be hot. Like, that's it. There was nothing else that they have done. And then they all just date each other and they all go on Paradise. Like, they're not even going on The Bachelor anymore to be on The Bachelor. They're going on The Bachelor to go on Paradise. And Paradise is something that I absolutely refuse to watch. I watched one season and I think part of my soul died watching that. So never again. I absolutely refuse. Now, with all of this being said, I have stayed pretty up to date on the entire franchise because one of my absolute favorite YouTubers is Wit and Rye. They are two moms from Georgia and they will recap the episodes, and those are worth watching. If you do want to kind of stay in the know and still make fun of it but not have to see all of the annoying stuff, I do recommend Wit and Rye. They're hilarious. It's one out of the two YouTube channels that I watch is Wit and Rye, and then you will hear so much about Dylan is in Trouble because that is the other channel that I watch. It's movie commentaries. I'm obsessed with him. We'll get into him later, but Wit and Rye, if you are kind of like, I want to watch the Bachelor stuff, but I also don't want to have to suffer through the episodes, I feel you. I'm there with you. Wit and Rye is your solution. You're welcome. Moving right along to my life with the Walter boys. I can't even with that. I can't. I did an entire TV commentary on the series. It's on the highlight section of my Instagram if you're interested. It is not The Summer I Turned Pretty. If you think it is, it's not. I am sure I'll probably do an in-depth discussion with one of my friends about this because we were chatting about it over text, and I think it would actually make a really good podcast episode. So just know for now that my rating on My Life with the Walter Boys is going to be a 2 out of 10. And that is for my personal and for the public because I don't think anybody should watch this trash. I don't. On Apple TV, Lessons in Chemistry. So fun. I really, really liked it. I know that Brie Larson has a lot of haters out there. I'm not one of them. Lessons in Chemistry, I found to be so fun. It's very feminine, but the plot twist that happens, I won't spoil anything, in a way ruined it for me. I still really liked the show, and I get that it's based off of a book, which I haven't read, so I don't know how that differs, but I was really taken aback by the plot twist. I guess I just didn't accept it the whole rest of the time. I was like, oh, okay. But it was still a really good series, and I do recommend it. I'm going to give it personal rating, 8 out of 10. Public rating, I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. Also on Apple TV, we have The Buccaneers. What a disappointment. I was so excited from the trailer. It had Bridgerton vibes. It looked exciting. It looked fun. It was none of those things. I can't discourage this enough. Is that even a sentence? Don't watch it, okay? Don't watch this. Honestly, I was so confused. The plot did not feel very flushed out. There was a lot going on, but yet nothing was happening, and you switch locations so quickly that it was disorienting. And overall, the main characters were just unlovable. I couldn't get myself to like them or to care about them at all. And the main love interest and the quarrel that was happening between two guys and the one girl, to me, it was so obvious that there was only one choice that was going to be a good choice. And then you just kept having this other dude off to the side getting in the way, but they somehow want you to like the side guy? No. And that's actually funny. The side guy, his name is Guy. I didn't mean to make that joke. No to Guy, yes to the Duke, and overall, no to the whole series. Personal rating, it was a 2 out of 10. Public rating, 4 out of 10. I'm sure some of you are going to be like, why do you give different ratings? Because I understand that I am a much harsher critic than the average person. I watch so much TV, so many movies, that I have a lot of other things that I'm comparing each thing against. And I'm also just a really harsh judge. When I'm watching a movie, I'm not just caring about if it's entertaining. I'm looking at the costumes. I'm listening to the soundtrack. I want to feel a flow in the character development and from the scene to scene, how they're cut. I care a lot about how the film is made. Do I have any film background at all? No, I don't. But I do care about those things, and I feel like I've watched enough YouTube commentaries with film people to feel like I'm an expert, you know? I've watched enough movies to like pick up a few things. So when I talk to people that aren't really film people that occasionally sit down to watch a movie, I think that they would rate things much differently than someone like me who watches multiple movies a day sometimes. That's why I have different ratings and why sometimes my personal one is lower than what I think the general public will be, because I'm just being honest. And I think that I'm a harsher critic, and the things that I like in a movie are a little bit different than I think what most people like in a movie. If you want to know what my favorite movies are, you can just check out my website. It's the exact same title, lifeaccordingtonikki.com. I do have the URL. That was my passion project all of last year, was creating that. And I'm still working on it. I still want to add a lot of pages and some different TV show guides and stuff of what to watch. But we do have my top favorite movies of all time with my ratings and my explanations. I actually think they're really funny. So if you take the time to look at those, especially like my rating of Bridgerton, I think is hilarious. Feel free to check those out in your free time. I built that website from scratch and I'm really proud of it because I've never done anything like that before in my life. And this year I've never done a podcast or editing like this before. So this is all a new experience. So thanks for being here for the journey. I do have a disclaimer at the top of the page that explains why I don't think that my top rated movies will also be yours. If you want to know what I think your favorite movies would be out of all the movies that I've seen, that's a totally different list, okay? These ones are my personal opinion. So if you want to get kind of an idea of what types of movies I like and that I'm into, you can go check that out. It is now time for us to switch topics slightly. We're actually going to stay on movies, but we're going to specifically talk about Society of the Snow. In my last episode, I gave you a little teaser of what this movie is about. Don't worry, we're not going into anything graphic or gross because I frankly have way too sensitive of a gag reflex to do that. But we're going to lead into a conversation on whether or not I think I could survive a plane crash scenario. This is going to be very exciting, and I'm really pumped to take you through my thought process on this. Society of the Snow is a true story about a plane full of Ecuadorian rugby team players. Well, and it had some other people on there too, but they're the main characters. They are going on a flight to Chile over the weekend, and their plane ends up crashing in the Andes Mountains in the middle of winter. I'm gonna be totally real with you. I wasn't quite sure what the Andes Mountains were. Obviously, I've heard of them, but I definitely got them mixed up with the Appalachian Mountains. For anybody else that thought the same thing, this is a safe space. You know, neither of us are dumb. We just don't know what we don't know, okay? We were never taught this. So here I am to educate. The Andes Mountains are a major mountain chain in South America, and they are much taller, longer, and younger than the Appalachian Mountains. Thanks, Google. So they crash land in these very tall and intense mountains in the middle of winter, okay? Worst nightmare. No, thank you. The fact that this is a true story is just horrifying. There were 45 passengers on this plane. 16 people ended up surviving the 72 days that they were stuck there, but 12 people died on impact with the crash, and then 17 people died throughout the 72 days that they were stuck. They were stuck in an avalanche at one point. It is just a really, really sad story. If you're considering watching the movie, it kind of just left me really, really sad and a bit disturbed because, as I mentioned in my last podcast, they had to do what they had to do to survive. You can put that together, how 16 people survived 72 days with no food. We're not going to dwell on that because honestly, that makes me so sick to my stomach. I'm not judging them. They did what they had to do to survive. I'm not saying what I would or would not do. That's irrelevant. What I am saying is, do I think I could survive in a plane crash scenario? Yes and no. To me, it very much depends on where we crash land. If it is the tropics, if it's, a deserted island, oh, I'm living for sure. Absolutely. The moment we land and I assess my injuries, I'm not dying there. That decision made. I will not die there. And I will be the most annoying, peppy person on that island because I will refuse to give up. But the Andes Mountains, middle of winter, I want to die on impact, please and thank you. Anything cold at all, I'm out. Immediately out. I don't need to play. It's all good. I don't need to be an inspiration to others. And I'm not really afraid to die. It's all good. I know what happens after we die. I'm totally fine. I feel very confident that I'm going to be all right in the afterlife, okay? I got things to do, places to be, people to see. I don't need to stick around. I don't feel that. Specifically in this crash in the Andes Mountains, after about a week, I'm starving. I think I'm okay. I think I'm just going to go out, just hermit myself into the snow and die peacefully. That's how I want to go out if I somehow live past the crash. Yeah, don't count me in for any peppy attitude or like, we got this, guys, we're gonna make it, rescue's coming. Don't count me in for that because I wouldn't believe it and I don't want to have to do what I have to do to survive. So I'm out. Thank you so much and best of luck to all of you. Nothing but peace and blessings and goodwill towards all. Do what you have to do with my body, but I'm out. Another scenario that I do think I would just tap out of is desert. Crash landing in the desert, no water. I think I could maybe muster up a little something to keep me going. But the nice thing about that one is it's only 3 days till you're dead. Whereas the winter one, that's so much more prolonged. The desert, you're gonna die of thirst so quick. So if I do end up surviving that, at least I only really have to press forward for 3 days and then it's over. I mean, I'm sure it would be a very long 3 days, but I think I could do it or have hope of rescue. I think I could maintain the attitude, but I say that with so much ignorance. I would rather be hot than cold, that's for sure. I think I could keep a better attitude in the hot, but there is one essential item that I would have to have in order to find the will to live. And that item isn't water, it's chapstick. Because I have the biggest chapstick addiction of anyone you'll ever meet. I, at all times, have a chapstick on me. You can guarantee that. There will never be a moment in this lifetime that I don't have a Carmex on hand. Everyone would know immediately if I didn't have one because I would make it everybody's problem to find me a chapstick ASAP. I can't go 5 minutes without knowing that a chapstick is available. This is the scenario that I give people to help them just like really understand how serious I am about this. If there was a flight that I had to get on and this was the last flight. Let's say I'm fleeing a country, okay? And I have to get on this 12-hour flight. If I do not have chapstick, I genuinely don't know if I can get on. I don't. Or if I do get on, you know how they greet you at the door? I'm stopping them immediately and I'm going, I can't let you take this plane off the ground until I know that someone on this plane is going to give me their chapstick. Honestly, we'll stay on the ground until that information is revealed and a chapstick is in hand. That is all I would need. If I don't have a chapstick in any scenario, I'm out. Automatically, I'm out. You know, let me have no water, no food, no problem. No chapstick? That's where I draw the line. And Heavenly Father knows that. He knows that. He would never cross that line. We've established that so long ago when my addiction started. I believe in a God that would never leave me without chapstick. He could put me through a lot, but as long as I have chapstick, I think I'm going to be okay. I know that probably sounds actually ridiculous, but I don't care. It's the truth. It's so truthful that it's actually funny. Okay, now we move on to all of the scenarios that I do think I would survive. Anything tropics, and I think I could do forest as well. Maybe like Amazon rainforest. Yeah, that feels right to me. There are a few key elements that go into my confidence. Number 1, I am obsessed with the show The Wilds. It's on Amazon Prime. If you have not watched it, stop everything immediately. Go watch this show. I can't say enough about it. I have gotten over 50 people to watch the show. That's not even an exaggeration. I could literally name every single person that I've gotten to watch this show. For those of you who have not seen it, what the show's about is you have 9 girls, they're in a plane crash, and they're on this island, and they're all 17 years old. I know everything that they did to survive. I have seen this show over 10 times, and I really think that I could do what they did. I know that might be like slightly delusional, but I lived my whole life in just like a slightly delusional state, and it's really worked out for me and created great opportunities. So who am I to say that I couldn't do it? I think I could. I really do. Also, I have seen Lost, okay? The ultimate plane crash scenario. I've seen that. We're good. I have not seen Manifest. Don't ask me if I've seen Manifest. I haven't seen it. I've heard the pitches. I just haven't really gotten to a place where I feel like I want to watch it. I did watch the first 4 or 5 episodes when it first came out, and I wasn't hooked. I'm willing to try again, but in my own time, okay? Lay off. Other shows that I've watched. Every single season of Survivor. I'm a huge Survivor fan. I could never actually do the show Survivor. Not in a million years. Absolutely not. I'm not choosing that of my own free will. But this is a very specific situation that I'm talking about. I'm talking plane crash, no other option, not my fault. I'm not choosing to starve myself and go compete with strangers. No. This is me in a worst case scenario, and the only thing I have control over is my attitude. That situation, I'm gonna just thrive. But if you put me on a reality TV show, Survivor, where I do have the choice to go home and just like sit on my couch, I'm gonna choose the couch. The only one that could get me off my butt is The Amazing Race. I would do that show literally tomorrow if given the opportunity, but not Survivor. Not only do I have all of this TV knowledge, which some could argue isn't real, I beg to differ, but I also was raised with doomsday prepper parents. I don't come to play, I come to win. A disastrous scenario is what I was literally made for. If I ever were stranded with my car, I'm living for weeks off of what I have in my car. I could live off in the wild, in the bush, off of what I have in my car. Obviously, I'm not going to have all of that on a plane, but your girl is resourceful. I have read quite a few of these doomsday types of book. I really like that. I like being prepared for the worst. Let me tell you how that would go down, okay? We crash land on a deserted island in the middle of nowhere. First thing that's happening is we're gathering as a group. I'm gonna facilitate that immediately. Everybody gather around, okay? Let's have the injured in a certain place, and then we're gonna take an inventory of everybody's skill sets. I don't care if you're the CEO of Apple. That does nothing for you here. I don't care. What I want to know is how good is your survival? Who can make a fire? Nurses, doctors, yeah, I'm going to need you to be real close. You're about to be extremely useful. The CEO of Apple, to the back, please. Unless you have some skill that's going to be useful in this particular situation, you're not in charge. I'm going to be handing out assignments. Like, people are going to be like crying and just kind of overwhelmed with what happened. And I can definitely have some sympathy and empathy for that for sure. But like, get up, because we're not dying here. That will be my attitude. I am here if you need a shoulder to cry on, but go pick some firewood out first. We can cry when the fire's made. I would elect myself to be in charge of inventory. Everybody, I want you all bringing things to a secure location, and then I'm taking an assessment of all of the materials we have and what can be used for survival. Nothing makes me more upset than when I watch these survival shows and they have a thing of alcohol and people just drink it. Excuse you? Do you know how many useful things alcohol can be used for? Disinfecting wounds, maybe? Don't you freaking dare touch that bottle to your lips. I don't care who you are. I don't care what addictions you have. You're about to sober up real quick because you are not getting one drop of that alcohol to consume. That is going to be used to start fires and to clean wounds and to do a bunch of other useful things. I know that's really easy for me to say because I don't drink, but I will guard that with my life and it will not be wasted. Mark my freaking words. I would be like the kid from The Hatchet. You know that book? That like 13-year-old that survives in the woods? I absolutely believe that somewhere deep inside me, I'm capable of that. I am. I do believe, which is so funny coming from me because I hate camping. I really am not an outdoorsy girl at all, but I could do it if circumstances demanded. It's not that I can't, it's that I choose not to. I'm the one you want on your team. I will be making us a fire. I will be doing all of those things, or if I'm not doing it, I will direct you so well. I love that in the wilds, when you watch it, because you will, they have this big debate over whether or not they're going to build shelter. I am 100% on team shelter. You need shelter. I don't care how long you're going to be there. Even if it's just one night, you need something to protect you from the elements because they will take you out. Sand fleas, those are the worst. Have you ever been on a beach with sand fleas? I lived in the Virgin Islands, okay? Those things ate me alive. I'm not sleeping on a beach with those. No, ma'am. I'm getting some bamboo, I'm weaving some palm fronds, and I'm gonna make a fire. But you want to know the number one thing that I'm doing on this island? Besides, working and making sure that everyone's staying alive, I am journaling the freaking crap out of this situation. I don't care if we're stuck for one day or months on end. I'm getting a book deal. I will be writing a novel about the experience. I will go on every news station ever. I'll probably create a separate podcast and I will become an inspirational speaker for all about survival and finding the will to live. Honestly, I would never shut up about it, which is probably why hopefully I will never be put in this situation. All jokes aside, I would never want to be in this situation ever, no matter how much I say that I could do it. But if I was put in that situation, then I'm going to do all I can to never work a day in my life again. Because if I have to survive on a deserted island and, catch fish with my bare hands and tend to strangers' wounds, I want to make sure that I'm compensated for that and benefit greatly from it. The final thing that I feel needs to be discussed is what type of people I'm crash landed with, because that does change the dynamics of the entire situation. Let me just paint a picture of my ideal crash landed scenario. I want to be on a flight with a group of 50 teenagers who are all going to a third world country to do service. And I want every adult leader to unfortunately pass away on impact. I want to be just me and the teens. I don't want to be there with any other adults. If it was the choice between a group of people in their 40s and their 50s and a group of, like maybe the youngest is 8 years old to 17, I don't care how many there are, I'm choosing the 8 to 17-year-olds every time. Before you call me crazy, stick with me. Listen to what I have to say because I think you'll actually agree with me for the most part. Picture this. You're crash landed with like the CEO of Apple and a surgeon and a mom with a baby. I don't want to have to deal with the attitude of a bunch of adults that want to be in charge. The amount of time that we would just spend standing around debating who should be in charge and who should do what would make me want to go over to a tree and hit my head against it. I don't want to deal with the egos that would come with a ton of adults being together. Absolutely not. No, strangers too, you don't know each other. So everyone's super dominant, well-established habits and personalities. You're really gonna go with that over a teen that may have like an attitude issue at home? No, I am absolutely taking that teen. You take away their phone, first off, they can do anything. The knowledge that a teen has from TikTok, are we kidding? You could easily make it with that alone because the amount of random knowledge that they have in their brains from that, I feel like would come really in handy than someone who has like a career job. Like what is that going to do for me in the woods? Nothing. Whereas this kid that hasn't been torn down by the world and told that he can't do things, I feel like he could muster up enough delusion from the video that he saw one time 2 years ago on TikTok of a guy catching a fish with his bare hands that he would go out into the ocean and make it happen. I do believe that scenario is way more plausible than getting a bunch of mid-40s people to work together. Oh, the amount of opinions that would be flying around and the stubbornness that I can imagine. I never want to be a part of it. Never. But a bunch of teens, I feel like they could find the will to live a lot quicker as well. I think if I was stuck with a bunch of adults, I say that as if I'm not an actual adult, but you get what I'm saying. If I'm stuck with middle-aged folks, I think that there would be many of them that would just have a really hard time getting past the fact that we're in this scenario. They would, I think, bring quite a bit of negativity to the situation that is completely unneeded. I think there would be a lot of people that would just be like, no, I'm not going to try. I'm not going to help. I think they would be dwelling on, their family back home. If you have someone that's like a mom to like tons of children or a dad or something, I think that it would take them a lot longer to process the grief and being stuck without their family and the worry that they would have. I just think for a lot of them, it would just consume them and make it really hard for us to work together as a group and get past them just being like, well, I'm not going to set up a shelter because we're going to be rescued. I think that being rescued is a great plan. I do. And that's what I'm going to hope for. But I do believe that you do need to set up camp. I'm not going to be stuck there for potentially days with nothing but just the hope that someone's going to rescue me. Like, I have to rescue myself in a lot of ways. And I think teens could get on that mentality way faster than adults could. I don't think as adults we give teens enough credit. I've believed that since I was a teenager, and I still believe that. I think teens can do so much and have so much thought that is just ignored by adults and that is put down. And if you put them in a scenario where they don't have that, where all they have is their wit to live, they would show up every time. They are going to dominate and they are going to get crap done. And on a spiritual note, I don't feel like God would, have a lot of teenagers die. They've got a lot of life left to live. Whereas with adults, I don't know, there's a little bit more of a risk there that I'm not willing to take. Now I'm going to play devil's advocate because my roommate, I was telling her this argument. She was like, okay, well, you said that you'd be there with like an 8-year-old. You have to take care of that child. Again, I think you're doubting the ability of an 8-year-old. An 8-year-old in that scenario, you give them one really good pep talk, they're good to go. If you really genuinely sat them down, right? And, you breathe with them, let them calm down, look into their eyes, and you tell them with all the faith in the world that they're not gonna die there, they're gonna believe you. They are. And if you tell them what they need to do to survive, here's the things that we need. We need firewood. That's gonna help us. That kid, they're up and running to the woods. It doesn't matter if they haven't seen a tree in their life, they're gonna figure it out. They are. I have full faith in children and teens, and I have almost no faith in adults. One last point I'm gonna make about this. With adults, there's a hierarchy to knowledge and society. How we've kind of set it up is like, you have a certain knowledge base, you're in charge. And I don't feel like that's the same for teenagers. I am totally fine to admit if I don't know something, and if there's someone else there that does, I am good to step down and just be in the follower position. The issue that I have when I'm in the follower position is if the leader has some big ego about them and they aren't willing to admit when someone else might be better in their position because they just don't want to give up the power. I don't think I would run into that at all with a group of teenagers. I think we could all collectively work together super well. I don't care who these kids are. We could come together, find some common ground. I also think we could have some fun. I don't think it would all be doomsday and frowns all around. I think we could have a laugh here and there. I'm funny. I'm sure they're funny. They're not going to give up. And I need that positivity to remain the entire time that we're stuck in that situation. And now we have come on my concluding note, my final point, if you will. I personally think my limit on how long I could survive is 3 months. I think I could do anything for 3 months. I wouldn't enjoy it, but I think we would find a groove after about a month. We would really get into something. And ultimately, I would be looking at the entire situation as a monetizing opportunity. So with that mentality in mind and the general attitude of we got this, 3 months, absolutely. Anything past that timeline though, I don't want to be there anymore, I think that that's enough time to be in a life or death situation. And with that, I think we're done. I think I made the points that I wanted to make here today. Maybe I swayed you slightly in your decisions if you were in that scenario. If you could perfectly curate it, who you would pick to be with, I would hope more of us would choose the teens because I think we're going to have a higher chance of making it out if we choose them. Thank you for listening. This has been my thoughts on life because this is Life According to Nikki. See you next week.